Hello, everyone. Welcome to Absolute Trust Talk. I'm Kirsten Howe, and here with me is Madison Gunn, as usual. And we don't have a celebrity death to talk about this week, but we do want to start a little sort of mini series of episodes on one of our favorite topics. Madison has said this many times. We could talk about this every single week, and because it's needed, it's necessary, because we see these problems all the time. We're going to be learning lessons not from celebrity estate plans, but from our trust department, our administration department, our after death department. And the topic I'm talking about is funding of your trust and how we deal with these assets after death. And today we're going to be talking about not so much funding, but unusual assets that we have to think about and deal with after death, and ideally plan for during life. So Madison, you want to start
Sure.
us off?
Yeah. So normally funding, we tell you to go to the bank, change your accounts. But what about the accounts that you can't go somewhere? You can't go to Cash App. You can't go to Venmo. You can't go to PayPal. That you can't walk in and talk to somebody. Your account's probably not even titled with your name and social security number like a normal bank. So we're going to talk about digital money and cryptocurrency a little bit, because I don't know if that's digital money or not, but it has some sort of value.
It's digital something. Yeah.
I might have a law degree, but I don't know what cryptocurrency is. But we do know how it's treated if you die or become incapacitated. So we'll talk about that. So the big one is, what everyone's using to, split a bill at a restaurant or pay someone back for, anything of that nature, which is Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, not Zelle, because you don't hold money in Zelle. That's just
Right.
peer-to-peer only.
Right. So those apps that you just have mentioned, what they have in common is you move money to them and then they move it to who you direct it to. So it's possible you could pass away and they've got some of your money. It's not in your bank account. It's not in your friend's bank account. It's in the middle.
Right. You have to actively move it. If someone pays you, you have to actively move it into your own bank account.
Right.
There is it doesn't automatically go into your
It's
account.
going to sit there in your Venmo space until it gets moved into a bank account. Yeah.
This is literally making me want to go check my Venmo to make sure I don't.
How much
I was like,
there?
I did just get Venmo money. Did I transfer it out? I know I spent it already, but did I actually move it into my checking account? Yeah. So these types of accounts typically can't be titled the name of your trust. It might not even have your name on it. It might just be your email address. So it's not anything. I mean, I guess some of them might report to the IRS now because there's been some changes. So they might have identifying information, but you still can't title it the name of your trust. Right. And you may or may not be able to put a beneficiary on it. So unfortunately, each one's a little tricky. You have to go through what each business requires, if in order for you to make sure that this goes to your trust or avoids probate ultimately.
Right. So that's something that I know we all do, is we all carefully read that terms of service before we sign up for the new thing that we just heard about on the internet. But on the off chance that you didn't read the terms of service and you don't really know, I think they each have a process, their own unique process that you would go through if you are somebody's executor or administrator or survivor in order to get that money that's in the account. So you have to investigate that.
Yeah. It's definitely something that even if there's not enough money in it to trigger a probate in California, a lot of those companies will require a probate to gain access to it. So the issue is not usually the amount. Because I mean, who's keeping $185,000 in their Venmo?
Not likely.
No.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not going to be a big issue in terms of the issue is not the dollar amount. The issue is someone need to get that $200 that you have sitting in there, and they should, and they have a duty to get that $200 sitting in there. Yeah. They have to get it.
They have to go get it, or get all the beneficiaries permission to abandon it.
Right.
Which say it's not worth the bother.
Yeah. Which happens if it's going to cost more money to get it than it is to abandon.
And you're going to get, yeah. But if somebody dies, they generally, at least the ones that I looked at, they do have a process that doesn't necessarily require letters of administration or letters
Right.
testimony. In other words, doesn't necessarily require a probate. So you just have to look at each one, and they're going to change over time.
Yep.
So there's nothing that you can really say, I know for sure what's going to happen until it happens.
Yeah. The important part is disclosing everything to your estate planning attorney so we can talk about it, and making sure that you follow all of each individual company's procedures. To the
Right.
extent we've already talked about, you would do the same for your Gmail account or your Facebook account or things like that. Everybody has their own procedure, and even banks, even though we do things in a standardized way for bank accounts, you still have to follow each bank's
Every
procedures.
bank is different.
There's
Yes.
not a uniform act
Mhm.
anywhere regarding financial institutions.
Right.
So, and then
So
some of this might apply to online savings accounts too, like
Mhm.
Capital One or Ally that maybe started as a lending company and ended up being an online banking company. They might apply the same way.
Right. So I think an important point from a planning perspective is to make sure in your planning documents you authorize your person, whether it's a trustee or an executor or an agent under a power of attorney, to deal with these kinds of digital assets. So you want to make sure your planning documents say that. And then there's the kind of quick and dirty advice, which is make sure that your login credentials are available, accessible. If you pass away, so much easier for someone to log in and get the Venmo money moved into your checking account,
Right.
than to try and jump through Venmo's hoops. And I think there's a little bit of a caveat though on that. So we don't want anyone getting in trouble.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to run afoul of what regulations do exist, especially
Yeah.
criminal regulations.
Yeah. So if you're going to do that, it's not your money. It's your fiduciary responsibility to make sure that everybody else gets their share of that money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the other topics that goes with this digital money is cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, because I don't know what anything else is.
Well, we know
that's all
there
you
isn't
hear about.
what was the name of that company?
FTX was like the
FTX?
brokerage, right? The one that went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's like Dogecoin. I don't know. There's a couple other different types of cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin is the number
It's the
one
one everybody
traded thing.
recognizes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
They
kind
have
of
ATMs
oh yeah.
now. Yeah.
It's like the Jello of
Yes. The Kleenex of
It's the Kleenex
cryptocurrency.
of
Yeah.
cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the problem with cryptocurrency, at least in this aspect, is that it's designed to be anonymous, right? There's no names on it. It's just a, I don't know, 40 character code. That's the title of your account, and then you have login credentials and all that. That's if you have it in a wallet. If you have it in like a brokerage account, brokerage-ish account for cryptocurrency like Coinbase or formerly like FTX, although if you did, I'm sorry. In Coinbase, you have a login with them, but it still they don't allow you to name things in a trust.
Right.
It's just attached to your email address. There's nothing, you might have to report cryptocurrency transactions now, but I think that's a self-reported thing. Like the Bitcoin's not reporting to the IRS. So nothing's really
Mhm.
on your social security number, things like that.
Right.
So you have to be very careful. And we've seen the news stories, right? Someone lost the hard drive with their what do they call that? Your code,
A
your
key or I don't
key.
know,
Yeah. And
whatever.
it's like worth millions of dollars and they're searching a landfill for it.
Yeah.
So same thing. You have to make sure that your executor, your trustee, your agent under power of attorney can access this somewhere.
Yeah. And that's really the only thing. I mean, maybe you can open a probate and get a judge to issue a court order saying, Bitcoin, you got to turn this money over. I wouldn't count on it. It's not set up that way. It's meant to be stealthy. It's meant to be hidden. And they are just not going to turn it over unless you are able to log in.
Right. And they're definitely not held to any banking standards or federal regulations
Right.
regarding that. So you're not going to have any help. There's not really like jurisdiction. That's why they're not going to take a court order.
Yeah. So very important if you are an owner of any kind of cryptocurrency to make sure somebody knows how to get in there if you aren't able to. Okay. Anything else about that? That's a kind of a downer of a we're like, we have no hope for you.
I
There's
know.
nothing to offer you.
I mean, if you're making millions of dollars on crypto, and we have had clients who have
Yes,
gotten in and gotten out, with the
at the right
crypto
time. Yeah,
at the right time. Yeah. So if you have that, I'm sure you have a way of keeping all of that, wallet information or key information secure. Just make sure someone else knows how to access it.
right.
It's like putting all your important stuff in a safe and not giving that code to anybody else and then you die. It's not helpful. I mean, somebody else has to know, or at least know where to find it.
At
So,
least know where to look. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good advice. Thank you, Madison. And thank you all for joining us. I hope you learned something useful, and we look forward to connecting with you next time.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com/scheduling. Don't forget to keep an eye out for our next live episode. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcounsel.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.